So, morning. I started off my morning this morning of, coming down the hill, enjoying the lovely cool weather with all the, orange foliage. Come over to the door here to open up the door to come in and, check out my slides and make sure everything's okay. And I'm pulling that door, and I'm like, the door's locked. Turned around, there's two client success folks sitting there, and I'm like, is the door locked? Or no, the door's not locked. You just need to push the button down to pull it open. So I now have had 2 Diet Cokes, and I know that you have to push the button to actually open the door. So we should do okay today now. So as they said, I'm Maranda Dziekonski. I'm the Chief Customer Officer at Switfly. And today we're going to talk about something I'm very passionate about. We're going to be talking about building out customer success career paths. It's something that all of us should be thinking about as leaders. If you're not thinking about it and helping your team see a path, I'm going to show you what will happen, some statistics. But also, more important, if you're not thinking about this and helping your teams grow, this is going to dominate their thoughts, and they're not going to be thinking about the things you need them to think about. So before we get started, a little bit about me. For those that don't know me, I am the Chief Customer Officer at Switfly. We said that a couple times. I'm also a retired human resource leader. I've added this to my profile. That actually deserves a round of applause. For those that know me, I ran customer success and human resources for 3 solid years at Switfly, built both functions from scratch. It was a really long 3 years, but I've had other human resource experience as well, which is why this helps qualify me to talk about this topic to you today. And a little bit more here, and just so you know, my other slides are not advancing, my note slides. Oh, there we go. Not that I need this to tell you that this is my Shih Tzu. So, during COVID, I think one of the, great things that came out of us all being, at home was getting to see everybody's families and pets and, where they work and where they live. So I thought, why not just put up here, this is my family, my husband, my son, and my 2 rescue Shih Tzus. And also, I will say my husband is the best customer success husband in the world. He knows all of your names. He knows all the stories, all the players. He knows all of the levers around net retention and gross renewal. If you ever get to meet him, I know a couple have, give him a high five because he puts up with a lot. All right, just to help me get a little acclimated, I want to see a quick show of hands. How many in here are people leaders? Okay. And then how many are individual contributors? Just a handful. Okay, well, people leaders, right now, I want to challenge you. Close your eyes for a second. Even, individual contributors, close your eyes for a second. I want you to think back a time before you were a people leader. You come to work every day, you're doing your job, you're wondering, how do I grow? How do I keep learning? What's next for me? How do I get that promotion? And sometimes it'll dominate your thoughts because you see people around you on LinkedIn, in social media, getting promotions, growing, evolving, telling these stories on social media about how they're going from a CSM to a senior CSM. And now everybody can open your eyes. I want to evoke that empathy in you, that empathy of your team if they don't have a path, that ambiguity around where they're going. The next question I have for here is, how many of you have had turnover in the past 6 months? People that have left. Okay, look around really quickly. Okay, put your hands back up. Don't sugarcoat it. It's a lot. Turnover, even in the face of an economic downturn, has been a big, big problem. Some stats say that this year alone, 37 million people are going to lose their job, or leave their job, pardon me, not lose, which is up 20% from 2021. We heard about the Great Resignation, right? We all heard it. It was all over the news, the Great Reshuffle, whatever they called it. That's not stopped. So 37 million here in the US. That's a staggering statistics. And while that statistic is daunting and can leave us leaders sometimes feeling like, what can I do? How can I get ahead of this? The things that we're going to talk about today are going to help improve your odds to retain your team members. All right. There is another quick poll. I know I'm filled with polls. I love interaction with everybody. So I'm going to ask you to hold up your fingers, 1, 2, or 3. Which of these 3 things does our teams care about the most? Making more money? Having a clear path for growth and development and understanding of how to achieve those title promotions? Or having a flexible work environment? Let me see fingers. I'm seeing 2s, 3s, 2s. Lots of 2s. Lots of 2s. 1, 2. Christy's right. Spoiler alert, this was a trick question. Sorry, guys, trick question. They care about all 3 of these. How do I know? I asked them. That's right, I asked them. I put a poll out a few months ago before I went to London, and then I put a new poll out again. And the original poll, so these are some of this is just a small snippet of the poll. But I asked folks, are you looking for a new job? Initially, in March, April timeframe, about 50% said yes. Just a couple of months ago, when I redid this, it's up to 63%. I had 874 responses. It's pretty significant. And then, part of the poll, part of the survey was asking about career pathing. And out of all those almost 900 respondents, 65% of them do not have a career path. And out of that 65%, 83% said a growth path, a career path is important to me. That is something that I want. There was also a free text portion of my survey. It was all anonymous. So I, asked them to kind of tell me the story of their why. Why are you looking? And I'm going to tell you, it was like reading Dear Diary. It was kind of fun because, they knew it was coming to me, but I didn't know who they were. I got a ton of interesting responses. And what I did is I aggregated everything and created a word cloud. And you're going to see here, of course, there are many other reasons why people leave. We all know that. But the prevailing is growth, pay, leadership, career pathing, all of that stuff. That's the prevailing. Those are the number one reasons why people are leaving. And to double down on some of the stats that I've gathered, I went out and did even a little bit more research for all of us just to convince us that this is something we should invest in. As we know, we're all busy. We have a lot of things to do. The things that take precedent over this are usually, meetings we have to run with customers, things that we have to prep for the board, things that are more external facing and not internal for our teams. This is the call for you all to stop deprioritizing this. Stop deprioritizing career pathing, growth paths. 86% of professionals would change jobs if a new company offered them more opportunities for professional development. That's a staggering number. And I know I'm in a small startup world. I work in small to mid-sized startups. And you're like, Maranda, we don't always add a lot of new positions or a lot of new titles. It's not all about that. It's about also making sure they're growing and learning and developing. And I'm gonna show you some examples here in a minute. Employees with professional development opportunities are 15% more engaged. Who wants more engaged employees? Everybody's hand should be up. 15% may not seem like a lot, but I'll take 15%. I saw 2 hands up. Employees with professional development opportunities have a 34% higher retention rate. How many people here hate interviewing all the time? All the time, interviewing, onboarding. And if this data wasn't enough to convince us that we need to create this, here's a couple more things before we hop in. Hiring is expensive. There are some data points that say hiring cost us between $5,000 to $20,000. That's when we don't use an external recruiter. When we use an external recruiter, we know we pay, anywhere from 15 to 30% of the salary, depending on who you're using, plus your 5 to 20K that you're using internally. That's a lot. That's expensive. Promoting internally is great for morale. How many here love seeing folks get promoted internally? And you could feel the energy when you announce that somebody is going from here to there or they're moving to another team. Everybody gets really fired up. It's like, more cowbell, please, right? Like, everybody loves that. Having defined paths is just a great North Star. It gives people goals. You know, it's a human nature thing, right? We all have goals that we want to achieve. We should be helping provide that. Last, one of the things that people don't talk about a lot is this is a great tool for performance-related conversations, good and bad. If you build out a career matrix and you're leveraging that on a regular basis, if you have somebody who's not performing, you can bring up their career matrix and show them what the expectations are and talk to them about how they're going to get there. All right, so have I convinced everybody that you need this? Yeah. Just a high five, round of applause, something? All right, good. Glad we're all together, because I just watched Tim Reister last week, and he taught me about the presentation hammock, where you will retain 10 to, it's 70% of the first couple of minutes of things I say, 20% of the next, 15 minutes, and then 100% of like the last minute of what I say. So I'm actually going to challenge everybody here to not fall into the hammock. Stay out of the hammock, okay? So why don't we go ahead and hop into what we need to be doing. So does this look familiar? We're CS leaders. Does this look familiar? It's like a life cycle, like a customer life cycle. Have you ever thought about the life cycle that your team members take? It's oddly very similar to the journey your customers take. And if you've never thought about it, hopefully this prompts that thought. Think about it. Recruiting, marketing. Hiring, sales. Signed them. Onboarding, implementations, onboarding. Growth, that's when, CS is there to shine. We help folks grow and evolve and achieve value. Continued employment, renewal. It's very similar. Where we're going to double click today is in the growth area. That's when folks kind of exit that honeymoon stage, when they're starting to see all the warts and they're like, oh boy, this isn't what I think I signed up for. We want to try to help that phase and get folks, instead of into the depths of despair, have them think about how they can grow and evolve within the organization. All right, so let's do this. First thing I want to call out is this is something I have. This is my personal growth goals for my CS team. This is published to my team. I review this with them often as a reminder on what my commitment to them is. And I also ask folks to hold me accountable to this. If I'm not doing these things or partnering with you to achieve these things, hold me accountable, call me on it. Talk to me about where I'm missing. And they have. They're like, Maranda, you're not taking control of your calendar. I'm quoting Andrew. You're not taking control of your calendar. You don't have any time for me to talk about this. So they call me on it and hold me accountable. So a few things in here that I promise my team is that everyone is going to have growth and development opportunities, whether it's in the CS org or elsewhere within the company, and sometimes elsewhere outside of the company, right? Of course, I want to retain people. I want to keep them internally. But I also understand that as a small startup, people are going to outgrow the organization sometimes, and that's okay. We celebrate that. Everyone in the CS org has access to the information they need to be successful, whether it is how to, use your tools that you have, your platform, or the methodologies, whatever it is, they need to have access to that. And it's not good enough just to show them, here's the wiki, read all of this, watch all of these videos. You have to orchestrate this, partner with them in the same way you would your customer. You're not just gonna give your most strategic customer a video and say, go be successful. Why do we do that to our most strategic assets, our humans, our people? Everyone in the CS org has a clear understanding of what's expected of them, their goals, and the levers they have available to move those goals forward. You have to be talking about your KPIs, teaching them about the different levers. So it's not enough just to say, your net retention goal is 110%. Go make it so. You have to give them the training and resources to be able to move that net retention. Everyone knows where they are in the competency matrix and are having a monthly growth and development conversation. All of my leaders have monthly growth and development conversations with their direct reports. It's a separate meeting. It's not part of their one-on-one. It is a meeting that they are not supposed to cancel ever. I make it very clear. I have it with my direct reports. They have it with their direct reports. Everyone on the team has a copy of the career competencies, and they are marking off where they are in that journey. They know as well that they have to be operating at the next level before they're promoted to the next level. It's not enough just to say, I've checked off everything as a customer success manager, I'm ready to move to a senior CSM. No. I want to see you operating as a senior CSM before you move to the senior CSM bucket. Last, and thank you. Last, we are doing activities that drive impact and not just output. We have a lot of busy work all the time. I don't care if it takes you, 40 hours to achieve your goals, 30 hours to achieve your goals, 50 hours to achieve your goals. I just want to see that your output is hitting your goals. All right, I'm going to give you some examples. I'm actually going to show you examples of stuff that I use, I've created, matrix that I've had in my ecosystem for multiple years that, I've worked with previous managers of my own to create. And the good news here for everyone is I have all of this and am willing to share it all with you, free, of course. Just message me on LinkedIn. I will send you the link. So everything I'm going to show you, you're more than welcome to. I am a big believer in don't recreate the wheel. Let's all help everybody get better together. So you don't have to struggle alone in this. Just message me. I will send you the link. All right. So there are some states now where you actually do need to publish salary bands. I just want to call that out. We don't put the salary bands in this particular graph or chart because salary bands are going to, vary depending on what state you're in. We do localization. What this does, though, is, and this is just the first thing, this shows each of the team members where they could grow and where they are in each bucket. One of the things I want to call out is I think we do a tremendous disservice to folks that are on their growth path of not providing them options that are not in people management, right? And let's be real, not everybody should be a people manager. Not everybody wants to be a people manager, but a lot of folks think that is the only path they have in order to achieve more money or to have a title that is, a director level or a VP level. And while this right here, what you're going to notice is more geared towards my company, which is smaller, I do know there are larger companies out there where you can be a VP or a director or even above and not have to manage people. What this shows is you can be a strategic CSM and make more money than a manager, the manager of the team. That's gold. My team loves this. They love that idea that what, I'm gonna be in like a level 5 and my manager is a level 4 in salary band? Yeah, because that's what we've outlined. Have something like this for your team to show them, if they are interested in making more money, if that's something that drives them, and that's okay if it is, here is a path to be able to achieve that. Depending on your company phase, product, customer base, various other factors, your competencies may look different. There are 2 important things to take away from this. 1, map out the competencies for individuals from progress from IC to manager to VP, and then map out what progress looks like in their individual teams. Those are 2 different things. What do we expect out of a manager, director, VP in the company versus what do we expect out of somebody going from so a CSM, senior CSM, strategic CSM. Very different things. So those are 2 big things you need to map out. Now, me personally, I'm just going to show here, and we're going to actually have career competency maps up here in a second. I identify what skills are important for success within the CS org, and then I use them to create my competencies. These are just a few examples. Your technical skills, your soft skills, how you expect people to execute, what results, continuous improvement, change management, decision-making, problem-solving. The list can go on and on. It's more important that you just start with something. Keep it simple. Don't boil the ocean, and try not to overcomplicate it. All right, so this is an actual example of the first one that I talked about, which shows you what it is like to go from an individual manager, director, VP. This shows the different buckets and the expectations, and this is a very large spreadsheet, so you're just seeing a very small part of it, but this shows really the business performance expectations. And it also helps team members see that when you go from manager to director, I'm expecting you to be able to do your strategy and planning 6 months to a year. Rather, when you're a manager, is 1 to 3 months. And when you're a VP, I want you to be able to plan 1 to 3 years out, which can be really hard, but that's the expectation, that you're able to look out like that. Next, this is the actual, a little snippet of an actual career progression matrix that I have for my team. I've had this matrix now, not kidding, a better part of 8 years. I have added to it, tweaked it, evolved it, adjusted it for the organizations that I'm in. This is, again, only a small portion of it, and you are all more than welcome to it. Just message me on LinkedIn. I will get you over the link. You can copy it, make it your own, tweak it, whatever, however it's helpful. This is something that I like to create in Lucidchart. It's not the prettiest thing. I'm just going to call that out. I am not a slide designer, and I actually have people that help me design stuff, but this is something I create. I call this my department vision map. This serves a few purposes. I usually like to build one of these 1 to 3 years out in Lucidchart. So right now in Lucidchart, I'll have 2022, 2023, 2024, and I know the direction my company is going and potential areas that we're going to expand and evolve. This gives my teams an idea of potential departments that could be added or functions that could be added, so they could start thinking about growth opportunities. So maybe we have somebody who really wants to do enablement. I make it very clear there's no guarantee. The business need has to align with what we're doing here. But if they know that I'm thinking about adding CS enablement, and that's something they want to do, that opens up that conversation for them to start learning and training and figuring out, what does that mean? This is a very powerful tool. It doesn't have to be, fancy. It just needs to be, right? You're also going to know I have a little spaghetti bowl going on, just to kind of give people an idea, like you could go from here to here to here. But you will also know I have 0 lines drawn to people management. That is intentional, because I do not want my teams to think the only way they can grow is to go to people management. There are way more places to grow, and that's okay. All right, last slide before we take questions. Just something is better than nothing. I just want to call that out. Don't overcomplicate this. I see people overcomplicate this. I'm guilty of it. Like, this has been like a work for me for a long time. But just think through all of these things. Core competencies for success on your team. What do levels look like? What does progression look like? And how does someone know if they're ready for promotion? Be deliberate about that. Don't forget the salary bands. Partner with your HR partner on this, right? Don't go at this alone. This is a complex thing, but it's important for folks to see that they can make more money and not have to go into people management. Show growth paths to other areas in your company, especially if you have rock stars that you don't want to lose. You want to, wouldn't it be great if customer success could just infiltrate the entire company with our people? I have right now 4 or 5 customer success professionals now in engineering from my team. You know how awesome that is? They know. And then just don't forget your vision map. Any questions? Of course, Josh has a question right out of the gate. There's a microphone coming. Oh, wait, no.
Oh, I got it
That's
first.
okay.
Okay. I was wondering what solutions you've utilized or implemented to help individuals look at horizontal transitions to the other teams as opposed to just the focus on the title level. I know the last chart had some good stuff there, but it's one of the things that's lacking in most organizations, so I'm curious how you've tackled that.
Yeah, so I don't know if I have a solution, if you're meaning a tool, but so one of the things we do is we do have like a little mentor program. If somebody is interested or puts any type of interest out there, like I would like to know what it's like to be in marketing, or I would like, my goal is to be in sales. What I'll do is I will tap the other manager of the department and say, hey, I know you don't have an opportunity right now, but Jane is really interested in this. Could she come and shadow a sales rep for an afternoon and get an idea? Could you also meet with her to talk about the skills that she would need to build up to be able to move into that area? Another thing is we're working on making sure every single department has these competencies to where a team member can just go into the internal wiki and say, I want to be in marketing. What are they held accountable for? Now, granted, not everyone has this, but it's a work in progress. If everyone had this, the bridge, there would be no gap. People would just know. The transparency would be there. Good question.
So CS has changed a lot in the last few years, and it's grown very quickly. Mm-hmm. What I've noticed, and I want to hear your opinion on this, is younger generation of CSMs coming in with a sense of entitlement and a sense of wanting to grow.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, but it's definitely not a CS thing for sure. But I think there's also a combination of CS where we've grown so quickly as an industry that we may have done a disservice by promoting people too quickly.
Yes.
So where does the core competencies, the matrices, all these things, how do they play out in terms of our maturing as an industry and giving the right people the right opportunities for promotion and
That's a really good question. So first of all, title inflation is a real thing, and it does a tremendous disservice to, I think, not just customer success, but everyone, and especially in startups. A lot of people use titles to retain folks, right? So that's why this competency matrix is gold, because you have to be able to be operating at that level before you're promoted. I do my damnedest to not play in the title inflation and the entitlement. I don't care if you graduated from an Ivy League school, that is amazing. You still have to put the work in, and you have to show me that you're checking off these boxes before we promote you. Period. And I think if more leaders would do that, it would help with the entitlement and the title inflation. I say I have 25 seconds. We have one last, okay.
Leading off of that, which you mentioned that earlier in your speech and there was applause, how do you communicate the why behind that of needing to perform those duties and show that you can operate at that level before you're given the promotion. I find I have a hard time communicating the why behind that concept to my employees.
I mean, it's an expectation setting, and if they come into it and it's just part of the core structure, first, there's not generally a lot of questioning around it because it's just part of the core structure. Second, just we're all better when we're operating at a certain level as a team. And I also feel like folks that earn this, they get more respect. People just know, like on my team, that if you're being promoted, you've checked these boxes off. It's a big accomplishment. We could talk a little bit more offline because I know I need to get off the stage. Why is important. I don't want to discount it. I don't want to say it is just because it is. Yes, you have to bring people along, but also, I put this matrix up. I get feedback from folks. Does this resonate with you? What are we missing? Like, make it a little bit more collaborative so they're part of the change, and change just isn't happening to them. But folks that have come into this, this is what you have to do. This is just the core of how you progress. Cool. Thanks, everyone.